welcome to Token Topics. Stellar is in prime position to serve a $1 trillion stablecoin market. We're going to look into that. Also, Coinbase CEO warns the US to act against China in a stablecoin race. And Stellar is the perfect project to do it. Also, MiCA has officially become law. Stellar fans, you don't want to miss this. Please do subscribe so you can stay up to date. And if you do enjoy the content, please hit the like. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm also not paid for or sponsored by the SDF. Keep your crypto safe with a DCENT biometric hardware wallet. With talks about cyber attacks or exchanges going down, it's imperative to keep your assets safe. And just know with DCENT, your private keys are your private keys and only you have access to them. In the description below, I'm going to put affiliate links where you can receive $30 off the retail price. There's also a 2-wallet package deal that's a great value. There's no need to wait. Order your wallet and keep your crypto safe now. This is great news for the crypto industry as a whole. So markets in crypto assets, or MiCA, regulation has been officially signed into law today by the European Parliament. So the next steps is MiCA will be published in the EU's official journal and entered into force 20 days later. MiCA will start applying after a transitional period of 18 months. However, the rules for stablecoins will start applying after a transitional period of 12 months and could take effect from mid-2024. So that's good news. So what does MiCA bring? So MiCA brings crypto asset issuer, and crypto asset service providers under the EU regulatory framework, and it aims to protect investors by increasing transparency, putting in place a comprehensive framework for issuers and service providers, preserving financial stability, introducing a harmonized framework, covers issuers of utility tokens, also covers service providers, and more. So these are the steps that are much needed to really get the ball rolling for mass adoption. So this is excellent news. All right, this is from Crypto Newsflash. Stellar to serve a $1 trillion stablecoin market as base layer, providing fast and secure real-time payments. In a blog published on Stellar website, Stellar Lumen has highlighted the fundamental ideas that policymakers, regulators, and sector experts need to consider with a fiat-backed stablecoin. This comes ahead of the Financial Stability Board's meeting scheduled to unveil its comprehensive recommendations on regulating, supervising, and overseeing global stablecoin arrangements in July. Additionally, discussions among G20 finance ministers and central banks are underway to establish internationally coordinated rules specifically addressing cryptocurrencies, focusing on stablecoins. Some recommendations that Stellar, a cross-border payment and transfer system, has come up with regarding stablecoins include to ensure the stability and integrity of the stablecoins. It is recommended that the reserves supporting these tokens be held in a corresponding currency with independent third-party verification. Stellar recommends that this verification should be made available to the public regularly. Furthermore, stablecoins must be backed by at least 100% or a combination of fiat money and high-quality liquid assets such as short-term government bonds. Secondly, the cross-border payment transfer system has also said that the stablecoin providers should offer a transparent assurance of one-to-one redeemability, ensuring that each stablecoin may easily be traded for its specific value. Issuers must segregate customer and corporate funds, maintaining a clear distinction. The last recommendation from Stellar is that the processing of minting and burning stablecoins should be automated to the maximum extent feasible, aligning with the corresponding reserves holdings. By automating these operations, the creation and elimination of stablecoins can accurately reflect the underlying reserve assets, ensuring a reliable and transparent mechanism for maintaining stability. Now, the bullish action that we have been seeing lately, and most likely will continue to see, is from Asia. And this is from Cointelegraph. From Beijing to Tokyo, Asian nations get active in crypto regulations, law decoded from May 22nd to the 29th. Last week, almost all key markets for digital assets in Asia got updates from local regulators. Lawmakers in Japan have decided to enforce stricter anti-money laundering measures to trace cryptocurrency transactions from June 1st, today. According to reports, virtual feature of the new measures is the enforcement of the travel rule to keep a more accurate track of criminal proceeds. It requires any financial institutions processing a crypto transfer of over $3,000 to pass customer information to the recipient, exchange, or institution. The data should include the name and address of the sender and recipient and account information. And South Korea government implemented new laws requiring officials to report their holdings. And then going down here, you also have Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission announced it would soon allow licensed platforms to serve retail investors. And it continues. So the good part, some might ask, well, why is this bullish? If it's not like a partnership, it's because regulations and regulatory framework is literally that important. Without framework, without regulations, we're not going to get anything, really. We're not going to get anywhere. And I just want to state that the real money that's going to be made from these assets, especially these utility coins and tokens, is the fact that if they have regulations and these businesses and these financial institutions actually start to use it because they have clear rules to the road. Coinbase CEO cites a rising threat from China in fresh plea to U.S. officials. Now, people that are in the XRP community, the Stellar community, and that are invested in the United States into different blockchain projects that are trying to innovate here in the United States, I believe that they're noticing that Coinbase has really stepped up to the plate. They're stepping up to the SEC. They're not going to take it anymore. They're also trying to warn Washington that if we don't buckle down on this, we're going to really get left behind. And Coinbase also did come through with the Spark token, so that is good. All right, so let's dive in. So China is set to benefit from restrictive crypto rules in the U.S. that are inadvertently driving innovation offshores. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong wrote in an editorial published by MarketWatch on Tuesday, the U.S. and other democratic nations are up against digital systems promoted by an ambitious adversary, China. Armstrong wrote, mentioning that Alipay and Tencent payment systems. With the recent launch of its digital yuan, China aims to directly challenge the U.S. dollar and its role in global commerce. All these different people that are investing in these blockchain projects are almost like at odds. It's like, Ripple versus Stellar. How about we all come together and make this possible? All right, so the article continues that Armstrong said that it should come as no surprise that Hong Kong has been positioning itself as a new crypto hub. His comments came amid a flurry of speculation that China could be warming to the sector after state broadcaster China Central Television broadcasted a segment about cryptocurrencies that featured Bitcoin logo earlier this month. So I want to stop right there. So they're advertising it. They're flashing in people's faces. They're getting people warmed up for this explosion. So it continues here that while the country prohibited the use of cryptocurrencies in 2021, it released a Web3 white paper to promote the industry development earlier this month, according to reports. It's almost like they're playing a game. It's part of the playbook. It's like, one season they're against crypto, then the other season they're for it. And you know what they're doing? They're just positioning their whole economy to benefit from these bullish cycles that we receive. So he continues that it's important for American technology leadership and national security that the industry be built, at least in part, in America, Armstrong wrote. If we fall short today, the next generation of Americans will pay the price. All right, XLM fans, Block by Block podcast is back, where Danielle Dixon speaks with Joey Krug of Founders Fund. Joey's a longtime investor and founder in the crypto space. Joey understands the upsides and downsides of being early and making big bets in crypto. Let's go ahead and give a listen.
Joey Krug, so great to have you here. Thanks so much for joining me on Block by Block.
Thanks for having me.
You've recently made a big move, and I want to dig into that a bit more. But first, for our listeners, could you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yes, I got into the space initially just through Bitcoin mining, and then in 2014 started writing smart contracts on Ethereum. Created an early project there called Augur, which is like a prediction market platform. And then in 2016 started angel investing. Invested in kind of some early projects like 0x and Numerai. That's sort of how I met the team at Pantera. Joined Pantera as co-chief investment officer in 2017. Was there until basically this year, at which point I decided to leave and join Founders Fund, where I head up our crypto investing efforts.
So I do want to get into Founders Fund a bit later, but I do love the fact that, because Founders Fund didn't before have a crypto focus, right?
Yeah. So in the past, FF basically mostly just bought a bunch of Bitcoin, and then they did invest in a handful of deals like, companies like Starkware, Flashbots, Tagomi, but it was a relatively small number.
Yeah, this is great. So I'm really happy for you to be there because I think this is a great space for founders to get into. Okay, so you're a coder at heart, and I imagine that background continues to have an impact on how you look at opportunities today. So how did you feel when you wrote that first piece of code that worked from a developer standpoint? Does it get excited for you about each product and project and you contributing to it? Is that like one of the things that you focus on?
Yeah, well, the very first time I wrote a piece of code was when I was like 10. And
I was going to say, I thought you were like 10.
Yeah, my dad was like, hey, he taught me how to write a program that just had an infinite loop that I think said that, like, Joey is awesome or something like that. And so yeah, it's really cool when you write something and then it like actually works. And I think like, even programming now, you always still get that like magic moment. Like a few weeks ago, I was messing around with the OpenAI API and built this thing where you give it a phone number and you give it some text and you tell it to call it and it will try to like accomplish some conversational goal. Like get your information at this restaurant. And, even there, I've been programming for well, like almost 2 decades now at this point, I guess. And it's still a wow moment whenever you get like your code turned on and it actually works and it does the thing you wanted it to do.
I think it's the other thing I really like about, you created the foundation that supported this. Or how involved are you today in Augur and the foundation?
Yeah, so basically at this point, we decided like a year or two ago to kind of transition it to a DAO, because from like a development standpoint, it's basically all built. The latest version is on Polygon and stuff. It's pretty fast. But we couldn't, since we're based in the US, a lot of the stuff that you'd want to do, like you just can't do. And so maybe, other people can kind of take it and run with it. And kind of like, maybe it can flourish with more like incentives and stuff. But the issue that we kind of run into is just like to transition to a DAO. It's a lot of like legal complexity. And so we've kind of just been like sifting through that, like, from the foundation entity side, you need to kind of have all the final tax returns done, right? You need to have received kind of, all the final kind of like IRS refunds and stuff. And then like, it's probably going to be wrapped up in the next number of months, but it's taken a lot longer than we thought kind of going in.
Doesn't it always? Well, one of the things that I thought was really interesting, and it's something that I think about a lot in our space and like what we're doing here at the Stellar Development Foundation, is you said that someday the foundation will run out of money and fade away as it becomes like an ongoing community developed open source project. And that sort of, with the DAO, that's sort of where you're getting to. And I love that idea, because if you need the foundation to be central to sort of everything that happens with anything that you're doing, it becomes much more complicated because you want the community to sort of take over. So I really loved that. And it sounds like you're making it real with respect to Augur. And that's so much of what we have. So what makes an exceptional crypto founder in your view?
Yeah, I think in my view, it's sort of, are they able to kind of burst through walls to solve the problems that they're trying to solve? Are they super passionate about solving the problem that they want to solve? Like,
are you opinionated about what that problem might be, or are you just let them define the problem and then you're interested in how they're solving it or how they're going about it?
Yeah, I have opinions on the problems too. I'd say there's some stuff where I think that, a problem's not that interesting, or it's a small market or whatever. The founder piece dominates though, but I do have views on markets. Like I remember I looked back at kind of the most successful investments I made at Pantera, and half of them were actually things where I found a market and a problem that I really liked, and then I went out and tried to find the best team in that area. And then the other half were just things where, great teams came inbound and I backed them kind of independent of my views on how far along the product was or whatever.
And so it's about the person. Is it about the team as well? Do you spend a lot of time with the management teams?
Yeah, so basically spend a lot of time with like the founders, and then also, depending on stage, some of the key employees as well. Are these people able to hire well? Are they able to convince people to join their company? Are they going to be able to, fundraise? And then, do they have like a crisp, kind of compelling vision for what they're building?
All right, I don't want to play the whole video. It's almost 40 minutes long, but I'm going to put the link down below. What is it like building on Stellar? Let's get some insights from Cuba's co-founder from the latest Tech Talks. He's going to share insights on what it takes to create effective tools.
Like when you interact with these machines, you kind of see like the ethos of the developer, and sometimes that ethos is like, well, we're going to be very careful about how each piece talks to each other piece, and sometimes, unfortunately, that ethos is more like, well, oh, okay, next we need this thing, let's do it this way. Okay, next we need this other thing, let's do it this way. And so you can end up with a little bit of a grab bag, and sometimes the grab bag is full of knives.
Well, Stellar fans, that's all I have for the video. If you did enjoy the content, please do subscribe so you can stay up to date. Thank you for watching.